just to run through then, okay, it's going to be the same PowerPoint with answers to the questions. Again, let me reiterate, this is not an assignment, okay, it's just revision. And I'll also just go through 2 worksheets I sent you previously, and I'll try and send those on to you again with this, okay? There's a couple of keywords. I didn't actually go through and find those. You can find those definitions yourselves, okay? I think we've pretty much written down the definitions for most, maybe not aragonite sand, but all the rest of them we should have somewhere in your notes. Okay, so first one here, all right, again, these are very detailed answers. All right, your quiz will not have long questions on it. It's all multiple choice. I'm actually making it right now once I finish these videos. So it will be multiple choice, and a lot of the answers will come from this content. So how do ridgelands form? Again, I gave you the textbook pages. I have each sentence here going back to Ice Age. Okay, with sea levels at a record low, the Bahamian shelf was exposed. So as the sea levels dropped, the whole shelf was exposed, not just the surf, not just the islands. Sediment gets blown from the newly exposed land onto the islands. Okay, here the sediment is trapped by vegetation. So the islands would have had vegetation. Sediment from what was the sea floor but is now exposed gets blown up on, trapped by the vegetation, and starts to build up in layers. Okay, this forms sand dunes. All right, and over more time, lithification causes these sand dunes to compact and harden up and into the rock, which form our ridgelands. Our ridgelands are our highlands, okay, the areas of highland. So again, there's your step-by-step ridgelands. Which islands have good examples? Again, this should have been fairly straightforward. I've got Bimini is one of the only ones that doesn't have a ridgeland, okay, over 15 meters. Cat Island is the highest. San Salvador is a lot for the size of the island. Long Island has some impressively long ridges running north to south, while New Providence has a collection of 13. So there's 5 different islands mentioned, all right? That's not to say that other islands don't have them, okay, but these are legit answers you can give. Types of features, and again, I didn't ask you to go into detail about how each feature is formed, okay? You need to be aware of what the question is asking. So what are the features? So there's a series of different features, and they all form due to solution weathering. This goes right back to when we started limestone just after Christmas, okay? And if you remember, we look back at limestone and we had our swallow holes leading to our caves and our tunnels and all of that stuff, okay? So it's exactly the same. These features are all connected, leading from vertical shafts leading underground. So we had our vertical shafts, which are like tunnels but vertical, okay? And that would have been the old swallow holes. That's where the solution weathering would have attacked first. These lead down to caves and tunnel systems. Okay, so these are the caves and tunnels you can walk through. Alright, and these are all inside the ridgeland. Within these caves you'll find stalagmites, stalactites and rock pillars. Again, we've looked at all of that before. In some cases these caves will hold water in underground lakes as well, so subterranean lakes, as we'll see in the next question. So again, these are the features, these are the things you will find within ridgelands, okay? What is the relationship between ridgelands and lakes? Now again, a long answer here, but it's pretty simple stuff. The ridgelands are the highest parts of the land on all the islands, okay? There are mountains, except they're tiny. We don't have any mountains here, okay? But these are the highest points. So the land on either side is obviously going to be lower than the ridgeland, all right? Quite often this land on either side is close to or below the water level. So when land dips below the water table, okay, that means there's water sitting on the surface. So that will be a lake. I look at Lake Cunningham, for example. Also, due to the steepness of the ridges, rainwater runs straight off the sides and collects in the lowest areas, which tends to be beside the ridgelands. Alright, so again, whenever it rains, that will run off the side of the ridgelands because it's steep, and it'll settle on the sides, and that brings the water table up and forms our lakes. Alright. Ridgelands can also have lakes which form inside the ridge, like we just saw in the last answer. Okay, this only occurs if there are caves inside the ridgelands. They're called subterranean lakes, meaning underground. So within the ridgeland, if you've got a cave system, they can hold water also and have lakes on the inside. So that's our ridgelands done, okay? Quickly moving on to our rocklands. Alright, and again you can pause each slide to have a little look at it, alright, and keep it there to come back and revise. Characteristics of rocklands. So again, not features. What are the characteristics? How would you describe a rockland? Okay, you wouldn't say a rockland is blue holes and this and pine forest, okay? Rocklands of the Bahamas are flatter open areas. of the islands. They're much lower and flatter land than the ridgelands. So that's a characteristic, that's one aspect of them. Alright, the areas are also covered in more vegetation in the ridgeland areas and usually consist of pine forests. So they're flat, large expanses. Okay, you could also say they have blue holes within them. Okay, the rocklands tend to be further inland on the island than the ridgelands, which are found closer to the coast. So the ridgelands, if we think back to how ridgelands were formed, all right, they were formed from sediment blowing onto the coast, which would have got trapped right by the edge of the coast. It wouldn't have made it all the way into the island, all the way across. All right, so that's why our ridges are found on the edges of the islands. In the center or further inland, okay, again, New Providence is a good example. We have our rocklands. Okay, anybody who did DOV, a lot of the walking we do through the middle of the island is through rockland areas. The Bahamian rocklands are also referred to tropical karst landscape due to the oolithic limestone they're made from. So if an area is made from carboniferous limestone, they're called karst landscapes. But oolithic limestone, which forms mainly in tropical areas, we call it tropical karst. Alright, so that's the characteristics of our rocklands. Another one then, how do blue holes form? So these are formed due to sea level change during the Ice Age. That first sentence is key. Okay, during the Ice Age the sea level changed, namely it dropped dramatically. Okay, as sea levels dropped, this allowed deeper solution, or weathering or erosion of the limestone which was exposed. So as the sea level dropped, more and more of the limestone shelf or the Bahamas became exposed, which allowed more weathering to take place in places it wouldn't have happened before. As sea levels dropped, the water table level would also drop. This also allows deeper erosion to occur underground. So usually, if the water table is high, erosion will stop there, but as the sea level dropped, that water table level also dropped, allowing this solution weathering under our limestone again to make more caves and tunnels. So this led to huge and extremely deep cave systems forming. Alright, in some cases the roofs of these caves would collapse, leaving a very deep hole behind. So again, if the roof of a cave collapses, you're looking into underground, alright, and it can go down very, very deep. Once the sea levels rose again, these holes were simply filled back in with water to give the blue holes we know today. Alright, so very simple. As the sea levels dropped, land was exposed, erosion was allowed to occur underground, sea levels come back up and just fill them up again. Alright. Last one then, just about limestone crust. We didn't spend too long excuse me, on this when we looked over the topic, but again, very simple. Only found in the tropics, which means the climate has something to do with it. Alright, but also in the Bahamas is a little bit different. So the formation of the Bahamas is believed to have come from the dust or sands which are blown through the atmosphere from the Sahara Desert. So we know for a fact that hundreds of thousands of tons of sand and dust blow across the ocean every year high up in the atmosphere from the Sahara Desert. We found sand and rock samples all over South America and the Caribbean that match identically to the sand from the Sahara, and it's a bright red or orange color. Alright, so as these surfaces, as the limestone surfaces in the Bahamas is dissolved, or are dissolved, sorry, by rain, remember how easily they're dissolved by rain, this red sediment is mixed in, which then hardens as rainwater evaporates. So the surface, certain areas of the surface of the limestone are dissolved. This sediment is mixed into that dissolved material now, and as the rainwater evaporates in the sun, a red sediment is mixed inside. A red, orange, hard crust is formed. Is, not if. See the diagram on page 83 to get a good look at it, but that's how they're formed. Okay. I've also sent you these worksheets before. There's one just about ridgelands and rocklands, so this is just a screenshot, and there's another one about the geology of the Bahamas. So if I just come out, let me just see if they'll work. Okay, so we got one on ridgelands and rocklands. Okay, it's very brief, just one page. Okay, and we've also got one about Bahamian landscapes. Does the whole lot. Okay, again, this is pretty much the same information as the previous sheet. So a bit about ridgelands, if you want to pause it there. A bit about rocklands, you can pause it there. Okay, we'll do wetlands the next day. So that's rocklands. Whoops, rockland information, ridgeland information, and the same here. Okay, we got ridgeland and Rockland. So if you want to look over those and make a little bit of notes as well, I'll be setting your quiz on Friday. Okay, and we'll go from there. All right, good work.